shifting markets because that is on everybody's mind these days. I'm going to close these doors. Okay, one more time. We're going to be talking about preparing for a shift. Or we can call it winter is coming, if anybody follows Game of Thrones. All right. Hello. I'm literally going to throw something at you too. Yep, both of you guys. There we go. I need a beanbag. Throw it, Tiffany. Okay, so talking about shifting markets. I think we can all agree, because what I hear constantly in here is this year is weird. We're having a weird year this year. I think everybody, and we've been talking about a possible shift in the market for a couple of years now. In fact, I've had this conversation with people in this room. And everybody goes, well, God, everybody's talking about a shift, but it hasn't happened yet. Remember that real estate is cyclical. It's got cycles. We've been on an upswing for many years right now. And right now, we're finally seeing a few factors that I want to talk about that are looking like a shift is coming. Number one, interest rates plus affordability. Anybody know what the affordability index looks like today? Anybody not know what the affordability index is? Anybody lying to me right now? I'm going to assume that some people don't know what it is, and I'm going to talk about it. So what it is it's a number assigned basically like this. Once you have your house, once you have the median or average priced house, the average family has so much money beyond that to live and enjoy their life, right? So the affordability index at 100 means that they're at 100%. Their house payment pretty much takes up 100% of their disposable income. So during the crash, the worst it got was about 120. So you had maybe 20% more than your house payment to live off of. That was the average. Affordability before the crash hit the ceiling. You guys remember that back in about 2004 and 5? We think it's bad now. So, home prices skyrocketed. Buyer demand skyrocketed. And the affordability of homes eventually got to a point where people said no, they were tapping out. Now, there's a lot of different factors that led to that. That was not a shift, by the way. That was an all-out crash. It had a lot to do with mortgage manipulation, had a lot to do with big manipulation and fraud on a massive scale. We don't have that problem today. But we do have affordability right now. It was at 120 it's about in the 120s at its lowest. And it's about 155 to 158 right now. So meaning that the average family has about 58% more of their money beyond their house payment to live on. That's not good.
I'm lost. One's like a word problem. You should be writing down.
You love word problems. Okay. You're right.
Saying it good, it's the brain.
Yeah.
Here we go.
155.
So at 100 for the affordability index, that means that you have enough money to pay your house payment. Really not much after. Your bill, let's just call it this. Your bills, you have nothing really after that. In 2000, either 11 or 12, we were as high as 288. When the market was at low, people had so much money. Houses were so affordable. They had almost 3 times the amount of money beyond their house payment to do whatever they want with. Today, or during the crash, we got as low as 120. Today, we're at 155-ish. I can't remember exactly what the number is. We're on 155. The affordability of houses has been compressing. And a lot of that's due to the low inventory. We know that. That's why. The demand, there's buyer demand, but there's low inventory. And people are paying high amounts for property because they want to buy a house. So let's talk about what that means. What's going to happen is at some point of housing affordability will get it's going to get out of sync where people just say, no, enough, I'm not going to do it. And we're starting to see that right now. How many people are reporting buyers that just give up and they say, I'm just not going to move? It's happening. Okay, so think about this. If buyers stop moving and sellers stop getting the price for the house, what happens? Things stall. What's going to happen is this uneven balance when you've got buyers here, sellers here, it's going to flip. And during that flip is when we're going to have a shift. So how many people would buy a house today if home prices dropped by 15 or 20% and you had a large variety of homes to choose from? Because buyer demand's there. People want to move. Yeah, right. So it's getting to that point where sellers are selling their house. And how many sellers would then sell their house if they said, I have options? The reason they're not selling isn't the money. It's because they have no options to move into. I think people would take less money for their house if they had a affordable option to move into. But it's during this shift that people are really worried about. And I want to talk about what to do in terms of these shifts. First thing to point out, the first tool to survive a shifting market and where people failed miserably during the crash. And those people now serve an excellent latte at Starbucks. The people that survived did a couple things correctly. And the first thing you have to do is correct your mindset. Surviving the shift is going to be mindset. You know what good markets do when it's easy? Like last year, they conceal. They conceal flaws. They conceal holes in your systems. They conceal inefficiencies that you have and money you're spending you shouldn't be. Bad markets or shifting markets reveal. They reveal. They reveal what you don't have in place or what you should be working on or what you shouldn't be spending. So the first thing you need to do is get right with mindset. Don't be afraid of the shift. If you operate out of fear, the first thing you're going to do, because what weak agents will do is they're going to cut the two most important things that will actually help them survive the shift. First thing they're going to cut is lead sources. They're going to stop spending money. You do that, and that's the first step out of the business. Second thing they're going to do is they're going to stop spending money on things like coaching, education, or anything that can help them further their career. I want to be very clear on this. Good agents, sharp agents, make more money in a shift than they do in a good market. Why is that? What do you think?
They're not letting the shift affect them. They're just barreling through.
And they're good at systems and they can capitalize. They can take advantage of what other people are not taking advantage of. For example, how many brand new agents got in the market in the last 3 years?
Roughly now, 17%.
It's up. It's huge. How many people aren't doing more than 4, 5, 6, 10 transactions a year? And do you think those people are going to survive a shift? You'll find that you're going to cut out a lot of the dead weight in the industry. The sharp agents are going to take advantage because as people are giving up lead sources, if they stop spending money on lead generation, if they stop spending money on Facebook ads, if they stop spending money and stop trying to grow their business, if they recoil versus expand, the sharp agents will see that as an advantage. And what they're going to do is pounce. So I know people that were selling over 100 homes a month when the crash happened because they recognized it. But you know how you got to prepare for this? And what he did, the person I'm talking about, what he did, he bought every single lead source. He hired, he recruited, he went after it. But you know how we did it? And this is one of the first steps you guys got to think about. Look at your finances. What you're making today, you should already be putting yourself in the mindset that shift has happened. Because what happens is people get a little overconfident. They're spending money on things they shouldn't. They're buying bigger houses. They're taking more vacations. They're going to Nashville. Okay, so the idea is cut back, but not in business. Try to save 6 months or a year of business expenses before the shift happens. Before a major shift happens, have a year's worth of savings in the bank. You know what you can do with that? When everybody is throwing their lead sources down the toilet, you can take that money and invest it back in your business. And this is where people that are smart are expanding in these bad markets. But you have to have the plan and the capital to do so. When I say mindset, that's what I'm talking about. You gotta think as if you're in it now and start preparing, start implementing. When I say that good markets conceal, every single week in here I ask, have you talked to your sphere? I'm like, yeah. Do you have a system to do so? Not really. I just do it when I feel like it, or I reach out on Facebook. There's no system. There's no system. We have a very bad habit in this industry that we only act when we have to react. When the market goes to shit, now we're going to get off our butts and we're going to go do something. Too late. I was affected by that myself. It took me 6 months, 8 months after the crash started happening, that I even had a prayer to figure things out because I wasn't ready for it. And I didn't want to I buried my head in the sand like everybody else and just kept trying to do the same thing. What's the definition of insanity, by the way?
Same thing over and over again.
Exactly. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I kept expecting a different result if I just kept doing things the same way in a different market, and it didn't work. So mindset, you have to be prepared for it. You have to be ready to do the work. If you can't get systems together today, I can promise you that when the shift happens, that you're getting your systems together or you're out of business. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're feeling overwhelmed today, wait till you have the pressure of a downward market on you. This is why, and it sounds like I'm coming down on people all the time, and I'm not. I'm trying to prepare you that if you think it's hard now, wait till then, when you have financial pressure looming. It's impossible to focus like that. So go through it now. Get good at time blocking, get good at scheduling, get good at setting up systems. Don't put it off. Become a tracking ninja. Track everything. I'm betting right now in this room, there's probably 30 to 40% of the money you're spending you could cut right out right now or shift it to a place that's going to be much more profitable. How many people feel like they're doing $12 an hour work right now? Right. If every activity you're doing right now is not making you $100 an hour, you should be delegating that off, hiring it out, farming it, or cutting it. So learn where your high dollar producing activities are and spend your time there. One thing about a shifting market is you have to stay in front of people. You have to prospect. If you don't do so, you're not going to do well. So that's where you should be spending your time even now, is putting up those prospecting pieces in place, because when the market does shift, if you don't have that set, you're not going to do well. Practice makes perfect. Now, we have lead conversion classes every Thursday. Today we had maybe 6 people in. That concerns me. It concerns me a lot, because conversion, scripting, objections, I hate the word scripting, but conversations, handling objections, and knowing how the flows of conversations go is what's going to make you stand out and be different when things get harder. And there'll be talking points. So are buyers going to disappear and stop buying houses? No. But you're going to shift your talking points. You're not going to talk about the same thing with multiple offers. You're not going to have the same value proposition with those buyers. It's going to be about sellers, because that's where the tough demand's going to be. So can you talk about your value proposition to get a listing sold? Do you think commissions are going to raise potentially when it gets harder to sell houses? Right. The messaging and who you're talking to at the right time. One thing that would have saved me a lot during the shift is if I would have recognized the need for niches. It took me almost a year to figure that out. And then it took me another 6 months to even develop one. So understand what the niche is going to be. For buyers, I think it's going to be, everybody's running around buying first-time home buyer or move-up buyer houses. Probably not. When shifts happen, consumer confidence gets weird and they don't always want to engage. But when property values drop, guess who's going to come out of the woodwork? Who likes cheap property?
Investors.
Right. When's the last time you worked with an investor? When's the last time you took an investor class? When's the last time you sat down with your CPA and put together an investor package? These are things you want to think about going forward. If you see the market shifting, stay ahead of it. Investors, short sales, not just in rental investors, but flip investors. Do you have a good contracting crew? How about first-time home buyers? Because first-time home buyers will be driving the buyer market. Why? Because it's cheaper and they don't have houses to sell. How about lead generation in terms of social media and messaging around those issues? Have it ready. Understand how to do it. All right.
So Mike, can I ask, so has this home affordability index gone up here recently?
Down. The more it goes down, the worse it gets.
Oh, so now it's at 155?
Yeah.
And it was at?
The highest it was like in 2012 was 288. Okay. So it's like almost half what it was.
Has it gone down this year?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you know how much?
You know, I don't remember. I think it was in the 160s something.
Okay, so
I could look,
it's
but
coming down.
yeah, it's the trend is down.
And
Yep.
sales are done, you said 18% this year from last year?
Yes. Yep. So far. Yep.
And there's 17% more mailers and 8% left,
With the drop. Yes.
so that's a 35%.
Yes. But you know who's really getting hit? Isn't those people, it's not even the yes and no. With the people really feeling it, isn't the people doing 4 or 5 transactions a year. The 3,400 transactions that were down this year is really being felt by those that are actually doing business. The Tiffany Greeners of the world, right? I mean, I'm not gonna name a bunch of names. Yeah, the Roxy's of the world, right? You guys, right? The people that are actually doing 20, 30, 40 transactions, 50 transactions a year, this is where the biggest impact's happening right now. And yes, you're losing a little opportunity to the new agents. I'll get a friend or relative that may give them a shot. So that impacts it some. But realistically, it's the fact that people just are not listing their home. That's what it is. But what I really want to talk to you guys about is don't think in terms of scarcity. What we do in these shifts is we start thinking in terms of scarcity and fear. Don't think in terms of opportunity. Think in terms of where is my niche, where is my new value proposition, and how do I capitalize? Do that. Think like a business. When Blockbuster went out of business, how great would it have been for them if they invented Netflix? How great would it have been for the taxi industry if they had invented Uber? Did consumers stop using transportation? No, but they changed the type of transportation and the niche thereof. Did consumers stop watching movies? No, but the vehicle that they use to find the movies has changed. It's going to be the same in our shifts. People are still going to buy and sell houses. The messaging and the vehicle we've used to deliver that service is what's going to end up changing and who we work with. You should not think in terms of scarcity. One thing you want to do is learn to separate the wheat from the chaff. You're going to meet buyers. Remember, they've been getting their butts kicked for the last few years. What's going to happen when they start smelling blood in the water and they see prices go down? You're going to meet people that go, oh, the price of the house is $250. It used to be worth $300. Yeah, I'll offer $175. All day long, you're going to find that. Figure out who's got real motivations and who you may have to let sit in the back burner for a while. Because in a shifting market, you want to find who's going to be ready. Figure out wheat from chaff. Doesn't mean that the chaff won't buy eventually. That they won't figure it out, but understand who you should be spending the majority of your time. What you got to know, and this is why I say track everything. Most dollar productive activities. You're the buyer that you need today. Where do you find them? What prospecting do you need to do in order to find that person? What tools do you need to automate? And how much time of day and what time of day are you doing it? Systems, track. You might right now be finding buyers for doing very little prospecting. And you say, well, I make 14 phone calls to my sphere a month and it executes me about 2 deals a month on those 14 calls. You can track that. You can literally reverse engineer that to see what you did to create that action or what action you took that created that result. Track everything, where every dollar's going, what actions led to the last transactions you've had, what actions have led to an appointment. Learn to track everything. And when I say expenses, I mean track all expenses. If you're sending out newsletters that cost you $50 a month or something like that, and they're not netting you, actual clients, cut it. Spend that money on one lead. Learn to really look at what you're doing. Become a lead gen pro. And this is where I shifted from sphere of influence to lead gen when the crash happened, because my sphere of influence couldn't provide me nearly enough to survive. I was forced integration into lead gen. And I'm glad I did it, because I grew my sphere of influence exponentially. In fact, the quality of my sphere grew. My database grew. Like, I was working with people that were referring business in. Become a lead gen pro. We avoid this right now because we don't need to be right now. We avoid it because we're getting referrals. How many people had at least 60% of their business or 70% of their business last year come from referrals? That's the problem.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. You get complacent with that, saying year after year, I'm used to this. And then when things change, if you don't have that second pillar to your business, you're going to feel it. Now, I know you well enough to know that you're jumping on YLOPO and Realtor.com, and you're already there. You're shifting ahead of the shift, and I'm proud of that, because that's what we should all be doing. All right. Learn about creative financing options. When things get weird, know about contract for deeds. Know about lease options, rent-to-owns, things like home partners. Get into those niches and understand them because you're going to want to deploy them as much as possible. Make sure that your marketing, don't hide behind your marketing. Make sure your marketing, though, what you do has relevance. When I mean don't hide behind your marketing, don't just send out postcards or newsletters and hope that somebody calls you. You have to have a much more proactive approach in the shift. But make sure your marketing is relevant. One thing we talk about YLocal, one thing I love about those guys is the marketing is actually relevant. It's the houses they want to see when they want to see it, and that's why it works. The messaging will change, perhaps when the shift happens. It's going to be about sellers, perhaps, and the value proposition you have to get their house sold in a tough market. Yeah, you know what? I don't think it's a bad thing. There's an equilibrium. If you understand yin and yang, equilibrium, ebbs and flows, it's not bad. It needs to happen. We can't continuously have home prices going up faster than people's wages. I heard a report recently, and I didn't verify this, but I heard that there's never been a time that people have less savings and more debt at any given time than they do today.
I had that listing that closed last week, and it was my listing. I actually walked out of it thinking that buyer totally overpaid for this house by $25,000.
Yeah. And that's what's happening.
Bid on it, $25,000. So he didn't know how to write escalation clause.
Right.
He could have got it for $5,000 over list price.
Right. So be an expert and go where the consumer is, guys. This is what I cannot drive this point home enough, even right now. Those that are living on referrals, that's great. But go where the consumer is, because consumers are getting picked up now more than ever at a 15 to 20% rate higher than 5 years ago before they're ever a referable option. Tiffany says, I'm thinking of buying a house. Great. Let me introduce you to Roxy. She was an awesome realtor. Oh, you know, that's cool. I already got one. I met somebody months ago I've been working with. I'm trying to refer her, but she's no longer an option because she got picked up. Go where the consumers are. Social media, online, that's where they're at. That's where they're starting the search. People live by this thing. They live on this thing. Take this away and you might as well be taking away their right arm. Go where they're at. And diversify. Don't have that one pillar in your business. So for those that are doing 98% referral business, pick up another pillar or two. So lead gen would be one. And perhaps you get super good at, at geofarming, or you get super good at, something else. And Tiffany was doing great with geofarming. Double down on that. Create a bigger farm, create more messaging, create more advertising. But remember, you guys are running a business. You have a cost per lead. Businesses average between 10 and 20% of everything they make back into marketing to secure more business. That's what you do. And when other people retract, when they run from that concept and you move forward and expand with that concept, you know what happens when the market does bounce back? You corner it. You have it. You own it. That's what smart agents do. Make sure you're educating buyers, because buyers are going to have the impression that's a free-for-all and they can offer whatever they want and they're going to get a house for half price. You're going to find a lot of that. So look for the buyers you can educate and work with. If you can't, do not spend tons of time with them. I remember the shift, my worst one was 64 properties, 5 offers. And I finally got them done. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I wish I never would have met you. I think I made like $4 an hour working with that guy. Make sure you're smart with your time and money. Be ready to negotiate. Be ready to negotiate. Don't take things personal. You're going to have people that want to throw dumb offers in. You're going to want to have people that want to offer you stupid listing commissions. Don't take it personal. Be ready to negotiate and sharpen your axe. Get good at it. Right now, we don't negotiate at all. There is zero negotiation in real estate today. You know what it is? What can I do? Please beg and plead for my buyer to get in this house. That's not negotiating. That's positioning yourself. We're good at positioning today to win a multiple offer. We're not good at negotiating whatsoever today. Get good at negotiating, because when the market shifts, you'll need it. Become an influencer. We talk about this time and time again, but this is going to be a point that you want to really attract business versus chase it. Do not chase business, attract it. Become the local expert that understands the shifting market, that has real value and can show those metrics. Yeah, Tiffany, I'm super glad you called me and take a look at your house. Here's what I prepared for you. As you can see, my last 4 listings that I sold, even though it's a buyer's market, I sold these 98% of original asking price and within 30 days shorter than average time. Here's how I did it, and here's what I do to help you. Make sure you're able to show what you can do and document it. Again, track everything.
Mike, is this the wrong time to talk about that? But you can tell me if it is.
Yep.
I'm putting together, I'm revamping everything. My listing presentation, back in the day, you could put an ad in Tribune, put it in Homes Magazine, these kind of different things that aren't relevant today. It's like everything's online, and I'm as I'm putting together my listing packet, I'm looking for more things. Yes, and this is exactly what we're doing. We have Mike Cuevas in July for the boot camp, for the video boot camp. Him and I are sitting down, and we're actually working on a listing presentation that in my mind is at least 50 different pages of things you can choose from, drop and drag to build your own. But some of those things will be relevant because print magazines are not relevant unless you're talking luxury. Now they're relevant. So everything will have a place still. But yes, we will talk about that, and I can give you some ideas. It's a digital marketing center is what you need to build for a listing presentation. Let's face it, people aren't going to be impressed by newspaper ads anymore. No.
What they're going to be impressed by is what my reach is, what my engagement is, what the metrics look like. I've had 27,000 people see this place. I've had 5,000 click-throughs. I've had 27 people that then filtered into a lead that wanted more information, that then translated into 27 showings, that translated into 4 offers. You want to be able to back that up with real metrics, and we'll talk about that. Become an influencer. Make sure that your online presence as well as your referral sources see you as an influencer, somebody that's a higher level of an agent. And most importantly, act. Act. I watch people day after day in here talk about taking action. That doesn't ever happen. I cannot stress that enough. Without action, you have inaction. And the cost of inaction in a shifting market could end your career. And I made a joke about it, but it's true. There's a lot of people serving lattes at Starbucks right now that could have been in real estate all the way through the crash. That stuff happens because they weren't prepared. Half an hour and 35 minutes I made it today. So that's what I have for you. Questions, comments, talking points, favorite knock-knock joke, anything.
Like I said, all my sellers that I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but what is that where you can, like what Rocky's talking about, where it emails in the auto report of how many people looked at their house on Realtor.com?
So we got List Hub.
List Hub, that's what it is.
And
Roxy, it's super awesome.
List Hub is really good, and there's another feature that's okay. I like to combine both of them. It's called List Track on the MLS. With List Track, it actually shows the Home Spotter and Home Snap views as well. So you have 2 different reports you can print. List Track only tracks Zillow, where List Hub tracks the entire syndication platform, but List Track gives you the apps, Home Spotter and Home Snap.
Do you have this track there?
Right in the MLS, you got it. Everybody does. Yep.
And it shows you how many people looked at it on Zillow.
On Zillow,
List
but List Hub is a better platform because you can break it down by time frame. You can say how many people looked today or in the last week. You can customize the date.
List Hub.
Yeah, List Hub, which you have a free account with us. Yep. I will not tell you the password because then you have to go search for it and dig through it. And I like to just watch you run around in circles. No.
So do I have my own List Hub account or this brokerage?
No, you do. You have your own.
Okay.
It's true with the brokerage. It's a master account, but you have your own login with your own properties.
So look at mine when I started.
Yeah, and if not, honestly, we'll give you the password. I'm just kidding. But I do like to make you run around in circles first, and then here you go.
I've been doing a lot of that.
I've been seeing.
That actually helped my clients negotiate a better counteroffer on their house so that track where we.
And think about it, right? So let's say price reduction. Think about price reduction. Tiffany, we need to drop the price of your home. What do a lot of sellers say?
We don't.
No, we don't. Well, you just need to work. You need to get it sold, right? You're not doing your job. Now let's reframe that. Tiffany, I got a report for you to see. We've had 1,500 people that looked on Zillow. We've had 900 on Realtor.com. According to our hit counters on MLS, we've had this email to 300 people with only 3 saved as a favorites, 2 as a possibility. On Realtor.com, we've had, in Zillow, we've had exactly 85 click-throughs. So they saw it and then they actually clicked on it. And out of those, and only 1 person requested more information. So they came in as a lead. And you know what? We haven't had one single showing in 3 weeks, so they didn't even want to see the house. This is why I'm suggesting that we need a price reduction because of all this data that I'm looking at. Is that harder to reject? Then we need a price reduction. It's harder to reject. Will sellers still do it sometimes? But the reality is it's harder to reject that when the data is right in front of them. And it shows that you are doing your job. Your job is to get exposure on the house. My job as a realtor is not to sell your house. That's where people get confused. My job is to provide opportunity to bring buyers in, to get offers in, so you can say, I want to take this one so my house is sold. It's up to the seller to make that decision, not us. Our job is to bring in the opportunity to find the best offer so they can have it. They can make that decision. If we can prove we're doing that, and then we're saying, hey, my job, I'm providing the exposure, I'm providing the opportunity, but I can't control your pricing. If it was up to me, it'd be $20,000 less. Here's why I think we need to do it. ListHub is an excellent tool for that. Okay, anything else? After all that, nobody has anything else? Nothing? Okay.
I've got a list of things to do now, thanks.
Yeah, people love coming here because I put them to work. All right, so if that's it, then I guess we'll be done for the day. You wanted to shift?
Do you guys ever move companies? I know a lot of you have, make sure you go to all of Zillow, True, Realtor.com, and make sure all your information is right. There was another comment out there on Realtor.com that I was going to read back like 2 months ago.
Very good point. Very good point. So I find people on Instagram from not their last brokerage, but from like 2 brokerages ago.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, I found one from like 10 years ago. That was great. Or my own. This is really stupid. I've been preaching this for years, and I'm like, oh, my own LinkedIn. I got a picture from 15 years ago, and Weicker Realtors I haven't been with for like 10 years. So yeah,
what I did is
I've done it too.
Googled Chris Lindell,
Yep.
Chris, and I wrote on every single site that he's on. You're going to be on that too.
Because you're going to the Behind the Billboard series, aren't you?
Yes,
you are.
And then write down like Zillow, because like there's a ton of different ones that you automatically get that brings your profile from that brokerage, and for some reason their address gets linked there.
So here's the thing you can do. It'll cost you a little money. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a feature out there that will look for 75 different data points on you to look for consistencies and irrelevancies. Here's why you want to make sure you do that. Just because you're linked to Zillow, and that's an obvious problem if you're in the wrong company, right? Here's where it gets worse. Google's algorithm, when people Google you, if you have inconsistent information across the internet, you are automatically lowered on the algorithm. So if they're searching for realtors in the area, if they're searching for you specifically, you might come up as the 5th Roxy Knight, not the 1st.
Or Roxy, the realtor who stole your name.
Right, exactly. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, and I'm trying to remember the name of the company. Bruce Lindholm would know it because we talk about it all the time, but I'll try to ask Bruce for that. But what it does is you pay them a service, and they go through 75 different data points on the internet, from Bing to you name it. And anything that's inconsistent, they call out and they help you fix it. That way, everything across the internet about you is consistent.
I wrote down all of the ones if anybody wants it. Like I sat there one day and just went through and just did it all.
That'd be good. So, all right, guys.
Can you find out about that from Bruce? I heard about that before
Yeah.
too. And
Yeah, it was it's a Thrive. It's called Thrive.
oh, Thrive.
That's what it's
Okay.
called, I think.